In today's video, I'm going to show you how to build a children's bookcase. It has a cloud design and 3 shelves. It's about 42.5 inches high, and I'm going to show you a neat little trick on how to really reinforce these shelves to make them super solid and they won't sag in the middle. All right, let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do to get started is cut all my parts to size at the table saw. I'll start by cutting the back to size first, because that will dictate the size of the sides that I need, and that will also give me the width of the inside of the shelves that I need. So on the table saw, squaring it up and cutting it to size is just a series of left turns, and you're going to see me just turning it counterclockwise every time I make a cut. That'll ensure that every edge is straight and square. Once I have the back and sides cut, I can start to put the rip fence off to the side as a stop block, pull it back away from the blade, and cut my shelves. Now the clients want this bookcase to be shaped like a dollhouse. So to get the ridge of the roof, what I'm going to do is measure up about 32 inches of the way. This is 42 inches high, so I'm going down to 32 inches so that I can get a nice 10-inch pitch to the roof. So what I'm going to do is mark it off on both sides of the back at 32 inches. Then I'm going to find the center of the back panel, and then I'm going to connect them with a straight edge to get my angle of the roof. Then we'll cut it out with the track saw. Now I could have cut this out on the sliding table saw by repositioning the crosscut fence to the angle, but I find it more accurate to leave that at 90 degrees and then just come here with the track, drop it on the line, make my cut, and move on. Okay, so I have the back and the sides of the bookcase sitting on the sliding part of my table saw. Use it kind of as a workbench right now, just to, get it sitting where I want it, just so that I can show you how I'm going to make the chimney stack for this. Okay, because as you can see, it's taking the shape now. The back is pitched like a roof of a house. So I saved the cutoff from when I made that piece, and I'm just going to position that. And this is the cool thing about saving your cutoffs. So being that I have this cutoff, the angle is exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is position this piece where I want it, right about here. Just going to make a mark. That's where it's going to line up there. And I'm going to cut it about, I'm going to make it 3.5 inches. Make a mark right here. So this way I know where it's going to line up. And now, because this angle matches this angle here, I'm just going to, right across, I'm going to make one line. And that's where I'm going to insert a domino. And I'm going to glue that piece together with the domino in between. Maybe I'll do 2 dominoes since it's wide enough. So I could do a domino there and a domino on that side. Okay, so I cut that piece for the chimney, and you can see why I kept that piece that was the angle cut off. Now that matches up perfect, and I cut it just below the ridge of the roof here. And now I'm going to install it with dominoes and glue, and then I'm going to be using blue painter's tape as a clamp to hold it in place while the glue sets up.
And now while the glue sets up for the chimney stack, I can go back to the table saw and cut all my shelves to their final dimensions.
Okay, so what I've laid out is the pattern for the clouds on the bottom shelf of the bookcase. And basically, it's the center has a lower, tighter cloud, then it has a bigger cloud, a medium size, smaller, and a small one on the end. That's the pattern that they showed me in the picture. And so what I did was laid out some markings here. I divided the panel in half first, and then I determined a good size for the center, and then from there I spread out this way, marking it evenly as I went. And then after I determined that I wanted it to come up somewhere around 4 to 4.5 inches, and then come down 3 inches, 1 inch from that, for the points of the clouds, I marked all that off and decided that the easiest way to get the arc for the clouds to actually sit the way I want them to sit, I'm going to connect the points that I marked with a compass. Just get the pencil right in the center mark there. Make sure I'm lined up over there on the other side. Those are my 2 reference points. And then I'm going to just arc it from one point to the other. And so now I have the arc of each one that I want. So now I have to do the same with the rest. So I've made a mark in the center here, but before I actually commit to it, because this is going to be a little bit of a smaller cloud, I want to make sure that I can hit each point. And the only way to do that now is to shorten it. Okay, so there's my point of reference. And now you repeat that over here because you already have the calipers set. So you just got to make sure that you get it on the markings before you, there it is right there.
I'll cut the cloud pattern out at the bandsaw because it's the safest and fastest way to do it. You can do it with a jigsaw, but just make sure that in the points you make these relief cuts so that you can actually make those turns on those curves and separate the piece. You don't want the saw blade to bind in between. Now when this comes off the bandsaw, the cuts are going to be kind of ratty and raggedy, and you're going to have to smooth them out. And this oscillating spindle sander, it doesn't come out too often because I don't do too many jobs that have curves in them, but it really helps out when you do. And after I'm done with this, you'll see I'll put it in the vise, and we're going to do some hand tooling just to smooth out any little imperfections with a file and some sandpaper. Now this is going to be a painted project, so you can easily just put the shelves in and the sides and back with screws and glue and nothing more. But I'm going to reinforce the shelf sides a little bit with dominos. It's also going to just help me align everything when I put it together, but you don't have to do this. Now this bookshelf has a 1/2 inch backer on it, So what I've done is cut the shelves half an inch shorter than they need to be, so that when I position it on the back, it automatically creates that rabbet for me. So I won't have to go back and cut any grooves or anything. I can just place the back in up against the back of the shelves, and it automatically will be flush.
Okay, so I've measured and marked out where the backs of the shelves are, and I've also marked the locations of where I'm going to put the screws, and that'll keep everything uniform. Okay, so I set the rip fence to 1 inch because I'm going to use pieces 1 inch thick that are going to sit on the front of the shelves. Then we're going to cut a little lip, or almost like a rabbet, in the back of the piece, a 1/2 inch deep, and that's going to go underneath and lip the bottom of the shelf, giving it more support.
Now I've repositioned the fence and I've raised the blade to only a 1/2 inch. I'm going to pass the piece through and create the rabbet using the width of the blade.
Okay, so those pieces I just cut on the table saw, you've seen with the little rabbet. I don't know if I can really get this to focus, but that rabbet is going to sit up against the bottom of the shelf, giving it much more strength.
Now to cover up the plywood edges, I'm edge banding the sides with some solid poplar. So I'm just going to glue that on and hit it with some brad nails, keep it in place, and then I'm going to use a flush trim saw to even it out on the top.
So now the cloud piece is cut. That's for the bottom. Came out nice. This part's going to be flush, so I'm going to run the glue down the bottom where it's going to sit. Also going to run some glue on the sides. Alright guys, so that was a really fun and quick project, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it, especially the little trick with the shelves on how to reinforce them so that they stay stable and they don't sag in the middle. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you like what you see. Give it a thumbs up. Hit the little picture of a notification bell. That's also going to notify you every time I upload a video. And also, if you want to support the channel, then check out the merch store, Teespring, and I'm going to put it in the description along with the tools that I use in this video, so that if you need to purchase any of those tools, please do it through the Amazon affiliate link so we can help support this channel. Alright guys, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.